Welcome back, everybody, to another Teen Titans video. Let's go. This is Season 1, Episode 7, Switched. This episode was written by Rick Kopp and directed by Ciro Nieli. This episode is a body swap episode, as you could maybe guess from the title. That's this one. This episode introduces us to a villain called the Puppet King. The Puppet King, who is just a creepy looking puppet guy. He sent a package to the Teen Titans featuring little puppet versions of all of them, which the Titans think are pretty fun. They don't know who sent this package, so they just assume it's some kind of fan mail thing. At night, it turns out Puppet King was also in the package. He mailed himself to Titans Tower and is now going to use his puppet powers to turn all the Titans into puppets. He takes their souls out and he puts them in the puppets, and now he's controlling the Titans like they are puppets. Oh no! Raven and Starfire are last to be attacked by this puppet dude, and Raven's able to use her classic Azarath Metreon Zinthos, which does whatever she needs it to in the moment. I don't remember if I've actually mentioned it, but it's the go-to spell that Raven uses for her powers.
Azarath Metreon Zinthos. Azarath Metreon Zinthos.
It's just like some magic words that make her magic work. So this disrupts the puppet spell, and Raven and Starfire's souls go back into their bodies, except oopsie doopsie, they switch bodies. And now they're in each other's bodies, a la Scooby-Doo the movie, the first Scooby-Doo movie. It's kind of like that, except less sexual, strangely.
Hey, I can look at myself naked.
So that's the setup for this episode, and now Raven and Starfire are in each other's bodies, and they have to learn about each other and about each other's powers in order to defeat the Puppet King and get everyone back to normal. So it's a Raven and Starfire bonding episode, basically, which is not bad. I sort of get why it was placed here. Last episode we talked about was Nevermore, which was a Raven-focused episode. Raven, Beast Boy, and Cyborg all kind of bonded in that episode, and so maybe Starfire is kind of feeling left out a little bit, and now she gets to have a bonding experience with Raven by switching bodies with her. Like, that's sort of it. They switch bodies and learn about each other and become closer as friends because of this experience. That's this episode. It's not a whole lot more to it. There's some kind of interesting thematic and character-related stuff here. As we've learned about Raven, her powers are based on her emotions, and so she has to kind of keep her emotions very subdued and very in check so that she is able to control her powers. So when Starfire's in her body, Starfire is much more lively and animated. She's like constantly using Raven's powers in unintentional ways. And sort of the reverse is true for Starfire. Starfire's powers are based on displaying extreme emotions. So she talks about flying, you have to experience like very powerful, strong joy and just pure, energetic excitement, which Raven is not very good at experiencing. She doesn't really do that. Throughout the course of the episode, they learn a little bit more about each other and are able to kind of use each other's strengths and each other's powers in order to kind of learn more about themselves or whatever. You get it. It's fine. It works fine. I like some of the stuff with them interacting. Like, we get a good joke with Raven and Starfire, like both kind of freaking out about their situation, and Raven goes, "Ugh, tell me about it." And then Starfire then proceeds to explain the entire plot of the episode so far. I think that kind of stuff is fun. And there's like one scene where they're like, we should tell each other about each other since we actually don't know each other that well and we don't normally hang out that often. But then it kind of cuts away, so we the audience don't actually get to learn much more about the characters. We do get one line from Raven that she was born in a place called Azarath. The same Azarath mentioned in her main spell that she uses, Azarath Metrion Zinthos. What those other two words mean, I do not know. Azarath, of course, not to be confused with Azeroth, the world from World of Warcraft. We do get a little more about Azarath later on in the series, but it's not for a while. So we're getting some little hints of Raven's backstory and origins, but only in very, very small amounts. But we still do learn a little more about the characters. Raven and Starfire haven't really had a story together, so it's kind of fun to see them interact. And I do sort of like their dynamic, as Raven is very, like, negative, very introverted, very, subdued, and Starfire is very bubbly, very energetic, very extroverted, very happy. So they balance off each other pretty well. It's a dynamic we've seen before in other stuff. It's very like Mei and Ty Lee from Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it works. It's fun. But it's not like the most deep episode ever. Raven and Starfire are able to kind of learn a little bit about each other's powers and how to utilize and control their emotions in different ways. And they are able to defeat the Puppet King and restore everyone back to their original bodies. They destroy his little puppet master thingy. So they destroy his thing, and that reverts everyone's souls back to their original bodies. And then I think the Puppet Master, the Puppet King, I want to call him the Puppet Master, but he's the Puppet King. I think he dies. He has like a line about how, oh no, now that my magic is gone, I'll just become a regular, and then he like just crumples onto the ground like a lifeless doll. So I think he dies. So there's that. I believe he comes back later on at some point. But this episode, it kind of seemed like he died. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. This is a pretty disposable episode. It's not bad. There is some nice moments between Starfire and Raven, and it's kind of fun to see these two interacting. I think the placement makes some kind of thematic sense, as like Raven is starting to open up more to the wider team, and we get to learn a little bit more about her, and her relationship is growing with the other Titans. And so to see her interacting with Starfire, who was very much in the background of the previous episode, Nevermore, it's nice to see her and Raven have some actual interaction and some growth together. Again, we're still like early on in the arc of the show as a whole, so like we're still getting to know the characters, and the characters are still kind of getting to know each other. And we don't get a whole lot of like Starfire, Raven episodes, so it's kind of nice to see them interact. But outside of that, there's not a whole lot going on to this episode. It's just kind of a wacky body swap episode, so if you're into that sort of thing, I'd say check it out. Otherwise, it's mid. Let's say that. I do like the dynamic between the two. Some decent character development, but in terms of like grand overarching plot, not a whole lot to this one that is like super important. That's kind of it. I don't have a lot of big thoughts on this episode. It's fine. But thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, find out when I'm getting new videos coming out to this channel. Going through every episode of the original Teen Titans, week by week, episode by episode. Next week is Deep 6, which is Aqualad. So tune in for that. And thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.